everybody, thank you so much for joining me. On this video, I wanted to talk to you about how to make sure you're using fresh makeup and fresh items on your face. So I have 10 tips to share with you, and I hope this will make sure that you're not putting any products on your face that could cause you to have a reaction. Now, there's a lot of things that dates aren't as important as sometimes we may think they are. So you're going to want to do your research. You're going to want to check with any products that you normally use to see how long the manufacturer advises once opened that they might go bad. Some things go bad by a certain date as far as from when they were manufactured. Other things might go bad based on when they were opened. So you want to do a little bit of research on that and just make sure that you're not using products that could be causing problems for your face, in particular breakouts or dry patches or any kind of reaction that might be adversely affecting your skin. So let me start by mentioning mascara. And I've mentioned this over on my blog before, but I like to change my mascara every time I change the air filters in my house, which is every 3 months. So that is a convenient way. If you remember one, then hopefully you'll remember the other. And for me, since I remember nothing these days, I have a Mary Kay lady who will bring me my Mary Kay mascara every 3 months. And that is my reminder. It's time to change my mascara. And it's time to change the air filters at my house. If you can get into a routine like that, it's really gonna help you. So that is my first tip. My second tip is if you have large quantities of things, such as I used to buy very large toner bottles or witch hazel that I like to use now. It comes in a 12 fluid ounce bottle, and that's a kind of a big bottle. So instead of having to get in it often and run the risk of contaminating the whole bottle, or air sometimes isn't really good for products, I like to put it over in a smaller container. This is just a travel size container, which is kind of a twofold great thing. So then if we're running out for the weekend on a little getaway, I don't have to worry about decanting at that point. I've already got it ready to go. But it also just, again, is easier to use, easier to store. I can store the bigger bottle more remotely and just keep this under my bathroom sink. I do the same thing, and I've mentioned this as well, with the lanolin that I like to put on my lips, which is a 7 ounce bottle or jar. I put it in a smaller size that I can just throw in my purse, or again keep it under my counter so that it's real easy to reach and to apply. And again, I don't have to worry about opening and closing and running the risk of getting the big tub messed up. Third tip for you is to be sure and write any expiration dates on your bottle if there might be one on the box. This one had one on the box. This is Paula's Choice. It had one on the box but not on the actual product, and of course you throw away your box. So I just wrote expires November 1st of 2022 on it. This label is just the order that I use them, just a little reminder. But same thing, sometimes your product won't say when it expires. So this is Timeless Skincare, the 20% vitamin C, ferulic acid, and vitamin E. It did not have an expiration date. So instead I wrote when I purchased it, which was March of 2021. Probably getting on up there. Probably needs to go by now. But it's something I haven't actually used yet. I just thought it was important to have some form of date on it. And another example is this retinol, the one that's milder that you don't need a prescription for. It had an expiration date again on the box, so I just wrote it. And I write it with a Sharpie so that it's easier to read. Expiration May of 23 on this one. My fourth tip is to always do a smell test. And you can tell, especially with lipsticks, lip glosses, mascaras, they get a smell. And so you may, if you're not sure on how to recognize that smell, you might want to dig deep into your makeup drawer and find something that you know is old and needs to go, and smell it and see if it smells different than your other products. And if it does, that is the smell you need to remember, and it is a memorable smell. So you don't have to worry. Once you've smelled it, you're gonna know. There are some other indicators that you can use, such as texture. Has the texture of the product changed? Sometimes the creams, they might separate, so you get like an oily part to it. And if that's not a natural component, kind of like organic peanut butter, you know how that just naturally separates. It doesn't have to be old, it just separates. If it's not something that just naturally happens to your cold cream or makeup or whatever it may be, that could be an indicator that it's probably past its prime. So look for texture. You can also look for color. Sometimes the colors will change, and I'm thinking in particular like a tube of lipstick. It might get real dry, or it might get kind of a light color film on it that you have to, you know, if you actually ran it across your lips, you would see that the true color didn't start coming out until it had made a bit of a pass. So that may also be an indicator for you that you might want to send that one to the trash bin. Another tip for you is to be sure and finish off an open product before you start your next product. And the reason, I know we get real excited when we get something in from Sephora or Ulta or wherever it may be, but if you can hold off opening it, it's just gonna make it last a little longer. And so if you are using 2 or 3, let's say foundations at the same point, then they're all going to expire a little bit quicker than if you'd have just open one, used it, open one, used it. Now, obviously, if something isn't working for you, or if you use things seasonally, again, with foundation or concealer, lighter colors in the winter and darker colors in the summer, then that's just going to naturally happen. For me, I've been testing a lot of foundations lately to find what works well for my skin so that I can share that with you to see what might work well for your skin as well. But that means, and I have a few photos, that means I have a lot of product open all at once, and I know they aren't gonna last. But the other part of that is some of these, I wouldn't care if they last. They are not working on my skin, so they need to move on down the road. And you can look around. Sometimes there are places that will take opened makeups, so you might want to see if there's any place in your community that does. The other thing is, if you have friends or family that know that you have a clean environment and you don't have any funk you would be adding to the makeup, that's also a good place so that folks can share, especially if you think of young ladies who may not, you know, they're starting with makeup, experimenting with makeup. That's a good way, if they got something given to them, a good way to figure out what works for them so they can experiment without putting out a lot of money, especially if they're like that 16 age or whatever the age is nowadays to start wearing makeup. I like to also, in my storage, to put the newer products at the back so that I'm sure to use the older products up front, use those first. So what did we learn in my business classes? First in, first out. FIFO. Yes, I use FIFO with my makeup. So that would be another recommendation I have for you. And that, again, if you write on when it was purchased, that will help be a tickler, even if your storage isn't, if you don't have a spot where you can just lay it all out in date order, just by putting a date on it, that's going to help you know that one needs to be used next. And I would highly recommend, if you buy products and use them for a little bit and they just don't work for you, go ahead and get rid of them then, because holding on to them isn't going to make them work for you any better. It's better to just go ahead and deal with it immediately. I know how painful it is because you think, I've just wasted money on this and now I'm throwing it away or donating it or giving it away or whatever it may be. But it's much better to free up the space in your home than to hang on to something you know you're not going to use. And my 10th tip for you is to keep a list of how long things are good for. So for example, I always use this Kay Mascara. So it would be smart of me to find out from Kay how long they project this last unopened and how long it will last once it's been opened. And of course, they're probably going to tell me 3 months once it's been opened. But if, you know, no matter what the product may be, if it's something you always use like witch hazel, then again, how long is it good for unopened and how long is it good for once it's been opened? And that way you can keep things more fresh in your home, in your makeup cabinet, but also you'll know when to reorder. If it's something that's going to be aging out and you don't want to be left without it, then you'll want to go ahead and get it reordered so that it'll be in before you have to throw the big bottle out or the original bottle out. And I know it is so easy because we all think, this, you know, whatever it may be, I'll use this before November. And it sometimes just doesn't work that way. I know with my face wash that I leave in my shower, I really need to put a date on those bottles because it's Kay. It's not a very large tube, but it, a little goes a very long way with it. And so I really think I probably use a tube of that for a year, if not more. So it is a good value, but I do need to keep an eye on making sure I'm not using an old product every day on my face in the shower. So those are my 10 tips for keeping fresh makeup and face products around your makeup area. I would love to know what tips you use, or if you have any other tips that would be good for me to employ in my makeup and beauty routine. So thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't already subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. It is free and easy, and it sure would help my channel. And while you're doing that, if you would also give a thumbs up and of course make a comment, that helps my channel as well. I post one new video a week on Sundays, and I look forward to seeing you back next Sunday. Until then, have a good week. Bye, everybody.